Здравствуйте! Меня зовут Вера Алексеевна Полякова-Норвуд. Добро пожаловать на урок русского языка. Welcome to our Russian class. Добро пожаловать на урок русского языка. Сегодня, today, we will be reviewing for test number 1. We have already completed the study of урок номер 1 in the учебник «Русский язык для всех», Russian language for everybody. So it's time to review, and then you are going to take test number 1. Контрольная работа номер 1. So let's talk about all the things that we learned with you from урок номер 1. We learned how to identify things and people, and we also know how to ask about it. So when we asked about an inanimate object, what do we say? Что это? Что это? What is this? Что это? Это, and then right after this word, you proceed to identify it. Это карандаш. Это ручка. Это книга. But the question begins with что? What? Что это? How do we ask about people? Кто это? Кто это? Who is this? You remember that this question is asked of people. We use this question about people and animals. Not only people, but any kind of living beings. Кто это? And we say это, and then identify that person or that animal. Это мама. Это Максим. Это кот. Ну, хорошо. Хорошо. So there are a few objects on my desk, and I want you to practice with questions. So I will show you a few objects, and I want you to ask me what it is, and I will provide the answers. So we'll reverse the roles today. You will be asking, and I will be answering your questions. So let's begin with this. Это книга. Это карандаш. Это газета. Это журнал. Это телефон. Хорошо, хорошо. Now let me ask you, and I want you to identify these things. Что это? Это ручка. Что это? Это карандаш. Что это? Это книга. А что это? Это учебник. Это учебник. Что это? Это газета. Что это? Это журнал. Это журнал. Ну, хорошо, хорошо. And now, let's take a look at a few pictures, and we'll continue our question and answer routine. Итак, что это? Это дом. Что это? Это парк. Что это? Это телевизор. Кто это? Это кот. Кто это? Это шофер. Что это? Это компьютер. Что это? Это школа. And now I want you to ask questions about these pictures. Пожалуйста, go ahead with your question. Кто это? Это студент. Okay? Пожалуйста. Что это? Это машина. Пожалуйста. Что это? Это радио. Хорошо. Go ahead with your questions. Кто это? Это Иван Иванович. Хорошо. Пожалуйста. Кто это? Это Анна Петровна. Пожалуйста. Кто это? Это Максим. Пожалуйста. Кто это? Это Нина. Это Нина. Хорошо. Очень хорошо. Very good. So you know how to ask about living beings and how to ask about inanimate objects. Do you remember how we ask about location? Где? Где телефон? Где учебник? Где книга? Где ручка? Где телевизор? Где дом номер 1? Где парк? And then when it comes to identifying location, we use these two words. Здесь, right here, здесь, там, over there, там, здесь, там. Ну, хорошо. So, I want you to practice asking questions about location. Итак, телефон. Где телефон? Ручка. Где ручка? Книга. Где книга? Газета. Где газета? Учебник. Где учебник? Карандаш. Где карандаш? Хорошо. Look at this. I have all these things on my desk. Книга здесь. Газета здесь. Письмо здесь. Книга здесь. И карандаш здесь. Ручка здесь. И учебник здесь. Телефон здесь. И журнал здесь. Книга здесь, а телевизор там. Карандаш здесь, а компьютер там. Do you remember when we use the conjunction E and when we use the conjunction A? Let's look at this. Conjunctions E and A. Журнал здесь и книга здесь. The magazine is here and the book is here. The magazine and the book have the same location, so we show similarity by using the conjunction и. Журнал здесь и книга здесь. Телефон здесь, а компьютер там. The telephone is here, but the computer is over there. Now we have two different locations, and we show the difference by using the conjunction «а». «А» is the conjunction that brings out the contrast. Телефон здесь, а компьютер там. Хорошо. Let's take a look at a few more sentences, and I want you to read them. I will give you a minute to read these sentences out loud in your classrooms. Хорошо, and now let's read them together. Let's read the sentences together. Книга здесь, а ручка там. Хорошо, now the second sentence. Газета здесь и письмо здесь. Хорошо, and now explain to me why we use the conjunction «а» in the first sentence and then we use the conjunction «и» in the second sentence. So look at the first sentence. Why did we choose the conjunction «а» for it? The book is here and the pen is over there. Two different locations. We are contrasting the location of these two objects. А. Книга здесь, а ручка там. Look at the second sentence and explain the use of the conjunction «и». The same location for both objects. The newspaper is here and the letter is here. Газета здесь и письмо здесь. Complete similarity. Ну, хорошо. Хорошо. Just remember that the Russian language makes a big deal about contrast and similarity. And we have the conjunction «и» to show similarity and the conjunction «а» to bring out the contrast. Хорошо. Хорошо. The next important topic of review is gender. Remember, Russian nouns are genderized, and we have masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural nouns. Masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural. So let's discuss each of these groups. We shall begin with the masculine nouns. Masculine nouns in the Russian language end in consonants. Дом, студент, ресторан, парк. Masculine nouns end in consonants. And within a sentence, we can replace any masculine noun with the pronoun on, which means he or it. On, as a masculine pronoun, also ends in a consonant. So we are being very consistent here. Let's look at feminine nouns. Feminine nouns end in «а» or «я». Мама, газета, Москва, Россия. These are feminine nouns. And within a sentence, any feminine noun can be replaced with the pronoun она, which also ends in «а». «а» is our basic feminine ending in the Russian language. Now, neuter nouns. Neuter nouns end in «о» or «е». Метро, радио, лето, упражнение. And the neuter noun is replaced with the pronoun оно. Оно. Ano is our neuter pronoun and it also ends in o. Notice how consistent we are. Any neuter noun can be replaced with the pronoun оно. Хорошо. And now let us practice. You know, we always practice with interesting concepts in the Russian language. So this time we are going to identify the gender of some nouns, and I also want you to match them with appropriate pronouns. Итак, let's begin with this. Our first word is journal, and it ends in L. Which gender is this noun? It's a masculine noun, so we can replace it with which personal pronoun? Он. Так, our next word is газета, and it ends in A, so we can replace it with она. Let's move on to this line, and I want you to read this word. Письмо. It ends in O. So which gender is it? It's a neuter noun, so we can replace it with the pronoun оно. Go ahead and read this word. Ручка. Ручка. It ends in A, which means that it is a feminine noun. And a feminine noun gets replaced with the pronoun она. Okay. Let's move on and work on this word. Read it for me. Карандаш. Карандаш. And карандаш is a masculine noun, so we can match it with the pronoun он. And now let's look at this word. Фрукты. Фрукты. Do you remember what it means? Fruits. Fruits. Masculine, feminine, neuter, or plural. It's a plural noun. So, which personal pronoun can we use instead of this noun in a sentence? Они. Они. They. Они. Plural nouns can be replaced with the pronoun они. Let's continue working on gender identification. And there are several more words for us to work on. The first one here is лето. Лето. It ends in O. So what's the replacer pronoun for this word? Оно. Оно. Россия ends in Я. Which gender is Россия? Feminine. Feminine. So the pronoun for it is она. Она. Let's look at this one. Театр. Театр ends in R. So театр is masculine. So our replacer pronoun is он. Let's be very careful with the next word. Сувениры. What's the English for сувениры? Souvenirs. It's a plural noun, isn't it? And we replace it with the pronoun они. They. Они. Read the next word. Radio. Radio. Which gender is radio? It is neuter, So our pronoun is оно. And now on the last line here, we have the word студентка. Студентка. It ends in a. So it's a feminine noun, and we can replace it with она. Студентка. A female college student. She. Она. Хорошо. Хорошо. So when you know your masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural nouns, things are really quite easy. So let's just make sure that we know our masculine, feminine, neuter, and plural nouns. And now let us, one more time, review greeting phrases. Today, let's just concentrate our attention on здравствуйте and здравствуй. Let's begin with здравствуйте. Здравствуйте. Can you say it now? Очень хорошо. Очень хорошо. Здравствуйте. Is this a formal or an informal greeting? It's a formal greeting. Now we use this greeting to address audiences, groups of people, and we also use здравствуйте when we are talking to one adult person. Because, as you should remember, the Russian language treats an adult person as a plural entity. You have to show respect to an adult person. Здравствуйте. So, use this word to greet a group of people, and also use здравствуйте when you greet an adult person. The principal of your school, your teacher, that's the only greeting you can use in the classroom to greet your teacher. Your adult neighbor, any kind of adult person. Здравствуйте. And by the way, do you remember what it literally means? Be well, stay in good health. Здравствуйте. Хорошо. And when do we use здравствуй? We use this one to greet a friend or a family member, someone whom you know very well, someone with whom you have a close relationship. This is an informal greeting. So to your brother, sister, mom, dad, you can say здравствуй. To a little kid on the street, you can also say здравствуй. It's a nice and an informal way of greeting a person. But again, you should be very careful when you use this greeting and with whom you use this greeting. Russian culture is formal in some ways, and you have to respect this. Russians have been there for a long time, and Russia has over 1,000 years of just official recorded history, and we don't know how many thousands of years of history that has not been recorded just because people couldn't write in those days. No? Хорошо. Let's continue practicing with our greetings. We will take a look at a few pictures, and I want you to choose the greeting appropriate for the person or persons that you will see. Let's begin with this. So, what are you going to say? Здравствуйте. And now, what are you going to say to this kid? Здравствуй. Now you can be very nice and sweet and informal. Здравствуй. Okay? How about this group of kids? Здравствуйте. Remember, you're speaking to a group of people. Здравствуйте. Okay? How about this person? Здравствуйте. Now we are always formal and polite when we are greeting an adult person. Okay? How about this group? Здравствуйте. Хорошо. And how can you greet this group of teens? Здравствуйте. And how will you greet this person? Здравствуй. Хорошо. Хорошо. Молодцы. Now we have completed the study of урок номер 1. And I know that you have done many an упражнения. And you practiced very hard with the cursive format of all the 33 letters in the Russian language. And you can write in cursive all the words that we have learned with you. And don't stop right there, keep working on that. When you have achieved that degree of fluency, when things just flow from under your pen and there's really no big effort that you have to put into writing things in cursive, that's when you really start enjoying the learning of that language, when things get easy because you have already worked on them so hard. And that's where I want you to be. I really want you to enjoy this stuff. So, sit down with your textbook and review урок номер 1. Now you are ready for test number 1. Контрольная работа номер 1. And now let me show you what exactly you have to study for контрольная работа номер 1, test number 1. You need to review the Russian alphabet. You have to know every letter in the Russian alphabet in its printed and in its cursive form. And also in your textbook, very thoroughly, read lesson number 1. And concentrate your attention on vocabulary, location, and gender. Because these are the concepts that you will be working with on test number 1. You have to know your vocabulary. You have to know how to ask about location and how to identify location. And certainly, you have to know how to identify gender of Russian nouns. And if you have been watching our classes very carefully and following all that I have been saying, then you are in a very good shape to take that test. And I certainly wish you a lot of luck. Итак, большое спасибо. До свидания. And good luck on test number 1.